What's up, everybody? Matt here from the American Edge, and I'm reaching a little bit now. I'm going to try to sharpen the blade on my planer. I have the addiction now that I know how to sharpen things. I don't know how to do this, but we're going to hopefully find out. So I'm hoping to learn a few things along the way, and when I do, I'll share them with you, and then you'll be smarter for it. First thing I've done is remove a cover to these blades. No, let me take that back. The first thing I've done is to make sure that this puppy is not plugged in. The next thing I did was remove a little plate that was right here. It exposed these blades. And I should also say that the first thing that I actually did was look in the book to see how these blades are supposed to be removed. There's two sides, each side held in with these screws, 9 millimeters. And all right, let's take it apart. Sweet footage here in the middle of the night in my dark wood shop. But anyway, this is one of two knives, planer knives, that have been removed. Came out pretty easy. All those bolts just pop out. And then the knife itself is held into this retainer with these two Phillip head screws. And I have a little gauge tool to use when I'm putting it back together to set the depth of this blade relative to this metal piece. Easy as pie. And the knife is not, I mean, it's not like death, but it's definitely room for improvement. And we'll see if we can clean that up on the Edge Pro. All right, let's do the other one. All right, this is something I was doing, but I actually want to show you because I think if you've never turned a wrench before, you might not realize that there is kind of an art. And these bolts in here aren't popping out real easy. I have a nice long extension on it, and what I'm doing is I'm pushing hard here and I'm countering the torque here to try to get the rotational force just in alignment with this. And it kind of got to lean into it a little bit. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. You hear it popped a little bit, so like that's good, it's coming free. And there she goes. If you're not careful, you end up stripping the heads out the bolts, and then like you gotta drill them out, or like it's just a bear. It's worth the time to get them out right and to use a little finesse. And this applies to whether you're working under the hood on your car, whether you're plumbing, whether you're taking apart a planer. Just be aware of that if you have not been running wrenches your whole life. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. See this bright spot? Yeah, right there. That's right in the middle of the knife. That's the worst spot. And like, I gotta get a lot of material gone in order to bring that edge back. Once I get that edge all the way back to fresh material, I can put it on the Edge Pro and really clean up that bevel, but it would take me days on the Edge Pro to try to remove that much material. I'll be the first to tell you I generally don't like putting tools on the grinder, but in this case, I'm not getting a good shot for you. The middle of that knife was just so beat up. I had to hog down a lot of material. You can still see some bright spots, but that's really just a little burr on the back. You can see I can kind of wipe them away, and that's the point. Like I need to build a burr along the whole blade. And in order for that to happen, I had to take off a lot of material on either end. so that it would even start pulling a burr back. Sometimes you see that on scissors too. But by going on the real fine blade and like taking time between each pass, I'm just worried about building up any heat. But alright, so now I have a pretty poor bevel, but it's all the way back to fresh material on the back here. So what I can do now, I hope, is throw this on the Edge Pro, clean up that bevel, and then once again I get a burr across the whole back with a coarse stone. I know I have a nice bevel on this face. Take it down to each grit here and then just clean up the last bevel on the back side here. Meaning, so I'll run all my grits from 120 to 1000 on the bevel, and then I'll remove this from the Edge Pro and just run my 1000 stone along the back here to remove that small burr that built up, and by then I should have a pretty durable, sharp edge on this knife. So let's get into it. Okay, so here's the plan here. Using the scissor chisel attachment, what I hope to be able to do is just loosen this up a little bit, slide it to where I want to do it, you know. Loosen up, sliding down, clamp it up. I'm hoping that way I can get a nice, consistent grind on that bevel the whole length of the blade. Alright, that's the idea. Alright, so what we have here is the one that I just sharpened and the one that I have not sharpened yet. And I'm feeling pretty good about this job. What I've done is kind of sight this to make sure that it's... I was worried that by me putting it on the grinder I might not restore a straight edge, but it looks good. Alright, so one thing you can do here is hold this up to here and then look up through a light. If there's a gap in there, then you can see that you don't have a straight edge. And actually, I would say that it is imperfect, but it is fine, good enough for me. Yeah, I mean, I would need to get some fancy millwork going on to clean that up any better. Alright, I want to try to show you the mounting mechanism. This is what had me worried the most opening up the PLANER. So this is the orange piece is a jig that came with the tool. So this blade sits in there with the edge sitting on that. This sits on top, and then the top edge of this sits in that groove right there. So that's how you know that that height is right. And then I have, you know, flush here, and then these two guys, little gaps here so I can screw those in. I'll get my screwdriver. One there. There. Verify again that my blade is sitting right on the lip here and here, and that this is sitting on the lip here and here. Alright, and just so we're clear now, that is so that the cutting edge, which is nice, man, way nicer, is at the right depth on. So then this gets bolted onto the doodad that goes zzz. So let's make sure that that blade is at the right depth. And what's nice is that back here there's a lot of channel there, so you could spend a lot of time sharpening this blade, this knife, and still have enough to operate the tool. So that's cool to know, and that's a lot easier than I was originally thinking. So I'll tighten those up. Oh, and I did mention this is a Ryobi AP10, a 10-inch planer. 10-inch planer. Now that I know that this is not so bad, maybe I will keep my knives in better shape. Alright, time to do the other one. Okay, so I put it back together kind of late last night, so I didn't bother capturing any video. Same as taking it apart, reverse procedure, super easy. One other thing I'm going to do while I'm here and I'm doing some work is put a little paste wax on the bed here. Just dollop a little bit into a rag and then wipe it in. When it's in the rag and you're wiping it, the friction will heat it up enough so that it'll melt, and then you have a nice cover of wax on your bed. I do that on all my tools. Alright, I'm back, and this is what I'm talking about. A little paste wax in a piece of rag, ball it up, give myself a little handle there. All the wax is right there. And just rub it in. Okay, and the like any other tool with a bed, like a table saw, a joiner, doing that every now and then, it traps the moisture out of it, and it makes the wood slide nice and smooth across it. It's good. All right, I'm gonna fire this thing up. All right, it's slide. Get your ear pro on. That is like a brand new tool. That's awesome. All right, I'm back. So that wraps up the sharpening the knives on a planer. Takeaway is that the fear of not understanding the knives in there is worse than actually figuring out how to take that apart. It's actually, for this one, again, this is a Ryobi AP10. Total breeze, real easy. You do need that tool, that little jig, so that you can set the knife depth correctly. But when this thing starts dogging again, I'm just gonna pull those knives out and go tune them up real quick. And I'm glad I figured that out. I know a lot of planers have a different set of knife system in there, but anyway, this is a good thing. If you want to tune up your knives, let me know. That's it. Peace. All right, I'm back. I just finished planing one side of all of that shiplap, building out a closet in the bedroom, and this is probably one of the most profound changes I've had in the wood shop. I liken it to putting a Freud blade on the table saw or on the radial arm saw. Like, that blade over there is worth more than the saw itself, but it makes the saw cut like magic. Sharpening those knives on the planer is just amazing. I swear it does like 3 passes worth in one run, but then the quality is so much better. Like, there's no whatever that rip out is, like, sorry, I don't know all the terms, but whatever, like, it comes out looking real good instead of being all choppy. The shavings are all nice, the planer's not bogging down, and waxing that bed, like, that always helps, but now it's just like butter, man. It's awesome. And it's something I wish I had done a long time ago, and I imagine that there are a lot of people like me who are using tools that are not sharp, whether that's in the wood shop or in the kitchen or wherever you use tools, and once you sharpen them, it just blows your mind on how much better they can be. So anyway, this was fun. Like, this is great. what an awesome thing to learn. And now when that thing starts bogging down, or when it starts peeling out instead of cutting, I'm just gonna go touch them up, you know, like it's gonna be half the time now. Anyway, I'm really excited about that. This is a big deal for me. So that is it. Anyway, subscribe, like, hang out, like me on Facebook, check out The American Edge. I'm doing all sorts of stuff, sharpening mostly kitchen knives, but pocket knives, now planer knives, like whatever I can figure out. So I look forward to hearing from you. All the best. Cheers.